Hignett corner, beyond Bent. Janssen! And Blackburn Rovers are 18 minutes away from a Premiership return.
As far as Stewart, just outside the penalty area, clips it central for David Dunn. David Dunn equalises! It just had to be. Dax corner and it goes, glance towards goal, and Rovers have taken the lead. And Charlie Mulgrew has scored his 14th of the season. It may well be the goal that sends Rovers back into the Championship.
Good evening, Rovers fans, and welcome to our post-match live stream, which I'd love to be telling you that we just beaten Nottingham Forest away at the City Ground, but sadly, no. It is 4 defeats on the spin for Tony Mowbray, which we were just talking about this before we came live, actually. I don't think Mowbray's lost 4 games in a row. Someone correct me in the comments, but Alex was also talking about the fact that this is something that 𝐿𝐿𝐃𝐄𝐎 did. So, sadly, it is a defeat for Rovers this evening away at Nottingham Forest, and this run of form does continue. It's going to be our usual post-match live stream. We had a big outpouring of emotion on Wednesday evening, where the playoffs were certainly done and dusted at that point, and possibly a lot of people's thoughts on the manager as well. We're not going to do that again. We're going to start on the game first. We'll dissect the game. We'll go through it, see where we went wrong, see where it went right, pick out those talking points, and then we will most certainly look to the future and see what happens next. How do we go about doing things? What do we do? How does the manager leave? What's the best way of doing it? I think that's probably the train of thought that everyone is in now. So certainly in the comments, please do put your ideas in there about where Rovers go from here. As you can see, I'm joined by Luke and Alex at this moment in time. We are trying to get Ollie Hayworth with us as well, but he is stuck in the Matrix somewhere. We will try and retrieve him using one of those pills that happens on the Matrix. We'll get him into us at some point in the future. But got Alex and Luke, as I say. Alex, how are you, mate? It's been a rough 24 hours, hasn't it? Particularly with the training ground stuff, which I know really annoyed you last night. How are you doing?
Trust Rovers to really, top the week off when you've had a long week at uni, just to, led in bed to, see that news with the training ground and then today, obviously. But yeah, I don't think we can lie and say I'm feeling great after 4 losses in a row. It's, like you say, it's a concerning time. I think we are just all very frustrated at the minute. And I think one thing we don't want to do as fans and as Rovers fans is, I think it's probably good if we don't start attacking each other. And it's something I've started to see a bit on social media is we start to attack each other. And I think, we're underdogs enough as it is without our own fans fighting each other. We need to be all together now. And I think we need to all discuss how the hell we think this club moves forward, because I think there's a lot of things that are unanswered at the minute. There's a lot of question marks. And I think there's even more question marks after watching today's game, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I watched the live watch along with you, but in silence in the background. And yeah, I think I was just as frustrated as you guys were. But yeah, I'll let Luke say his piece now.
Absolutely. Before I come to Luke, I knew I could rely on Dan. He is the real brains behind this operation. He has reliably informed me that we have lost 4 games in a row under Mowbray, and it started with that famous Brentford game where we were 2-0 up, I believe, and we lost 4 games on the trot after that. So Dan, thank you for clarifying that. It has happened before, but it certainly isn't any better this time around. Luke, you were on the watch along with me. Thank you for joining us on the post-match. I know it's difficult to do the watch along after a loss again and then straight into the post-match. How are you doing?
You do it, mate. You've done it for four games on the bounce now, so it's only fair that on the 4th I join you for it as well. But I think what Alex said there resonates. It's quite important to make that a big point. Like, we all love Blackburn Rovers. As fans, we all want the same thing. We want Blackburn Rovers to do well, and different people have different opinions, and that's just life, unfortunately. People are always going to have differing opinions. And you do see it on social media, and you see a lot of this, this opinion's wrong or that opinion's wrong. I mean, no opinion's wrong as such. We shouldn't be hammering one another. Yeah, we all have different views on where we go from here, but it's important to maybe pull together on this one and realise that we're not wanting different things. We just want Blackburn Rovers to do well, and we're not certainly on here. We're not happy clappers or pro or against Marbury. Even within the group, we have different views on where we go from here, but we go about it, I like to think, in the right way and in quite a harmonious way, and stick together as a group and as supporters, regardless of our opinions. And I'll have a different opinion to you, Ryan, on some things, and certainly the same with Alex. I'll have a different opinion to you, and the three of us, we do that in the right way, I like to believe. And I just want to put that message out to all Rovers fans that we all want the same thing here, and we all need to do it in the right way. As a group of fans wanting one thing, the best for Blackburn Rovers Football Club.
Absolutely, well put. And just again, another message in which just proves, that there are more important things than football. So Mowbray's revealed that Sam Gallagher is in hospital at the moment, suffering a potential punctured lung. So best wishes to Sam Gallagher. That sounds like a horrendous injury for him. So, best wishes to Sam Gallagher there. Just before we get started with the meat of the discussion, then just a few things. The watch along was amazing in terms of those of you that joined us and interacted with us. We really enjoyed ourselves, and we love bringing those to you. A few of you did do a super chat for us as well. So we just got a fans wall here just to say thank you to those of you that did contribute to our channel. Forest City Trivia, Michael Pearson, RJW, Simon Slater, Daniel Davies Golf, David Park and FM Works. Thank you very much for your support to the channel with your contributions via that super chat. We really love bringing this content to you, and all of those financial contributions that we get, it gets reinvested right back into this channel. So we will keep bringing you that content. We'll keep doing all of those things that the Rovers fans love to see. And if you did want to do a super chat tonight, it is available again. Do let us, do give us your comments, but absolutely there is no expectation whatsoever that you do the financial commitment there. We'll still pick up the comments as we usually do. We'll keep that interaction, and our content will always be free. And then just another thing, we are absolutely desperate to get someone on the show with us. I've been saying it for the last few weeks. I think FM Works was the last one about 5 or 6 weeks ago. We'd love one of you on here with us, and we don't think we're going to have Ollie Hayworth with us tonight because he is stuck in the Matrix. So there is a gap in that bottom right next to Alex. Come and join us on the show. Let us know your thoughts. Send a DM to Dan on the Rovers Chat Twitter account and let us know your thoughts. Let us know how you're feeling. Let us know how you thought the game went and where we go from here. We'd really love to have your insight and your opinion. So just finally, before we do get started though, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, obviously hit that subscribe button. You can stay up to date with all of our content. Hit the bell notification and turn all notifications on, and you will see all of our video content as it lands. And please give this video a big like and all of our other videos as well. We really do appreciate your support, and we continuing to grow. We'll go to the 6 yards out advert in a moment. I can see there's some great comments which are going to guide this discussion as well. So we'll do the 6 yards out advert, and then we'll go straight into the comments as well. The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below. Here he is. I've just seen him. Door on tour with the little cheeky emoji. Well played, Forest. You got the win, and Door on Tour is a good friend of the show. So good game and all that, Door on Tour. And thank you for supporting our channel as well. The other comment I do just want to come to, though, Simon, Alex and Luke and myself, we were trying to work this one out because you were early with your comment. Has something happened with Harry Pickering today? Can you just let us know what's gone on? Because we couldn't quite figure out what that one was. Hopefully nothing's happened to him, but let us know. But I'm just going to come into the comments really quickly just before we start. So Michael, we did flag this on Wednesday night when we were looking at our fixtures. we are as close to the playoffs now as we are the bottom three, and the next 6 weeks worth of games are really tough. So we definitely need to look over our shoulder. Barfly coach, Premier League dream over. Rovers, Tony Mowbray press conferences have been telling fans it's over. Performance has been poor. Now reports owners wanting to sell parts of Brockall. Time to realise we're not getting back. So the parts of Brockall stuff, Barfly, I don't know if you were with us on the watch along. We've clarified a lot of that stuff, and the club have put the statement out today about what's going to be happening with Brockall. Personally, I am reassured by the statement today, and I think it is a positive that the senior training centre and the junior training centre will come together. But people will have their opinions on that. So do go and check out the website if you've not looked at it either. Daniel, bad result again. Adam should be scoring the penalty, not the first he's missed this evening. Going to be a long few months ahead. Hopefully we can pick our sleeves up. And then Forest, one of our super chatters from the watch along. Tough loss today, but you had a good time in the chat. So Alex, I'm going to come to you first. Feels like we're in a really strange situation now, because I think this is 4 defeats on the spin now, and there's probably not going to be many people out there, if any, that believe this is the manager to get us promoted into the Premier League or make the playoffs. So we now find ourselves in that bizarre situation of persisting with a manager that we know is not good enough. So what do the club do from here? You know, what is the answer? Because I think it'd be hugely disrespectful for just a complete wave now of everyone going, Mowbray out, get him sacked, blah, blah, blah. But what is the answer?
I think it would be remiss of me as the resident medical student on this stream to not comment on Sam Gallagher. So I just want to say that I hope he's all right. I hope it's not as serious as maybe it seems from the limited reports we've got, as we get our 4th guest joining us. Ollie, welcome.
Yes, in.
Just as I was about to say, yeah, so I think it's a really serious, potentially serious thing. You know, it can happen. You know, young athletic men that are tall can tend to be predisposed to that sort of injury. So it's not something that's crazily uncommon, but nonetheless, it's very serious, and he could be out for quite a number of weeks with that. So let's hope that it's not as bad as we all fear on that front. And then to go on to Ryan's actual question that he asked me about what the club are going to do. What I think the club will do and what I want them to do are two very different things. What should the club do? I think the club should look at the situation we're in right now and say, well, we're a long way off the playoffs. The playoffs are done. The playoffs are dead. I think we all agree on that now. And it's unlikely that we'll be dragged into a relegation scrap at this stage. Probably only needing 4 more wins to stay up from 16 games. And so you put all that into context and you say, well, does the club look for a change? Because I think I've always thought this deep down with Tony Mowbray, that I think he's a very good man. I think he's got integrity. I think he moved the club in the right direction from when he first came in. But do I ever envisage him on the touchline at Ewood in a Premier League fixture? I'll be honest, I don't. And I don't think I ever have. And that's a really difficult thing for me to say, but I think it's true. I think he's managing the Premier League for 1 season of his managerial career. And I think by all accounts, he didn't do too well in that season. I don't think he got 30 points in that season. So, you know, that is a fact, and that is a major concern. I think the thing that I would comment on with Marbury is that we appear to be getting worse. I think the performances, certainly from the first few months of the season, have really declined. And we're making a lot of mistakes now. There's just a lot of mistakes being made, both tactically, with the way the teams are being set up, and the team selections and the changes within games. And on top of that, you've got a loss of confidence with the players due to results going against them, and all of those things combined to make you sort of wonder where the next win's going to come from in many ways. So yeah, it's a concerning time. I think I've said my piece on Mowbray on Wednesday night. I don't want to go in again on him because I have a lot of respect for Mowbray as a person. So I'm not going to come on here again today and slag him off after criticizing him roundly on Wednesday night. I think we all give our reasons why. But yeah, my opinion hasn't changed. And if Scott wants a name to be bandied around about who I would bring in as manager, I would say, well, I'm not paid hundreds of thousands of pounds a year to be sporting director, so it's not my job. But I think we could do worse than the Cowley Brothers. It's not a name that I've settled on. It's not a name that I've thought, I'd definitely bring them in. But it's the name that I've thought about over the last few days as I've pondered about the manager. And maybe it's just a debate that I could maybe start on this live stream tonight. But I've just given a name out there for you, Scott. But yeah, they're just my initial thoughts on the manager as it stands. And I think before I finish, I'll just say that, if any Forest fans are watching, congratulations to them. They deserve to win the game today. They were the better team for me, and I thought they had better chances than we did over the piece. So well done to them. And once again, Chris Hughton does his job on us, I think. How many times has he won 1-0 against Rovers? So yeah, all those things are frustrating tonight, and I think that's where I'll round it up.
So just on the Cowley Brothers thing, obviously I'm from Lincolnshire, and they were the manager of Lincoln for 3 years. So I saw it all in the local press. So the one thing I'll say about, or two things I'll say about the Cowleys, their style of football is something that we would have to get used to as Rovers fans. If we think Big Sam, if we think that type of football, the Cowleys make you difficult to beat. And it's that side of the team that they would focus on. So might be a tough watch at first if it was the Cowleys. The second thing I'll say, I was quite surprised how it worked out for them at Huddersfield, because I thought it was the natural progression from them going from League One with Lincoln and to Huddersfield. And I understand that the reason why it failed for them at Huddersfield is because they have a director of football in place and they wanted more control of things. At Rovers, they would be in control of things because we don't have that type of model. They would have the relationship directly with Steve Waggett. So Alex has put it out there, the Cowley Brothers. I can't say I'm sold on it, but I'm being biased because Lincoln City and this part of the woods just do my head in at times. But let us know in the comments, Rovers fans, the Cowleys. Let us know what you think. They were sacked from Huddersfield. They've been at championship level. Let us know what you think. Luke, I'm going to come with you just so that Ollie gets more chance just to get his feet under the table after retrieving himself from the Matrix. If we just focus on the game itself then, it was a really odd game, wasn't it, on the watch-along? We spoke about it, didn't we? We had that first 10 minutes, which felt quite nice. You were like, right, we've responded to this. Brereton was getting involved and, we looked quite sharp. And then it just petered out a little bit. And that goal, I mean, it wasn't even in the corner. It was a deflected shot that went down the centre of the goal. And you could argue that 𝐒𝐿𝐼nski should have done better. And then we really didn't react for the rest of that first half. Second half, to be fair, felt like there was a bit of a reaction. We, of course, missed the penalty. But then we're finishing the game just like it's another game when we've gone 1-0 down. It's another game where a team's gone 1-0 up. Hughton's clearly set that side to sit back and frustrate us and say, well, come on, Rovers. So what's your thoughts on the game? Have you got that same outpouring of emotion that you did after Barnsley, or are you feeling a bit more level now? What's your thoughts?
It's not the same outpouring of emotion, weirdly, because it's an additional defeat. So I've gone from, on the back of losing 3 defeats and it feeling really, really quite bad midweek, to now, I don't know, I was having the chat with Alex just when we were sat waiting for the stream to go live, and it's sad to say this, but you're now in a position where you're expecting to lose. And I never want to do that as a Blackburn fan, but it's like we finish that game, we lose 1-0, and you think, well, we've got beat. It's just another defeat. It was almost as if the writing was on the wall. Whereas at Barnsley, there was that bit of hope, there was that glimmer of hope. We beat Barnsley, we get within touching distance again, we kick on. But now we're sort of very much slap bang mid-table, looking backwards as much as we're looking forwards now. with no real hope for the rest of the season in terms of anything to look forward to. And I think that's the hard bit. I think as a football fan, and I mean, you can be a fan of any club and not have any real expectations of playoffs, etc. Especially in this league, you know, there's 24 teams in this league, and only 6 can get within touching distance of the Premier League. So you can never really expect that's a reality, and there's many Blackburn Rovers fans that won't have expected that at the start of the season. But as a football fan, and you know, I question any football fan on this to argue the other way with me. You always hope, and that's the key word here. You always hope that there's something to fight for come the end of the season, and you hope that there's some excitement and something to just keep you going. Especially into the latter, and I think that hope's gone now, and it's almost as if I'm sat here now on the back of a 4th defeat, thinking, well, you know, season's over. We'll probably finish maybe 14th. You know, it's going to be a mid-table sort of finish. We're going to sort of peter out. We might go as low as sort of, you know, 16th, 17th. You know, whatever. But certainly, I feel like the season's gone now, and it's the hope that's gone, and. I almost think like we're not looking over my shoulder as such. I feel like we're safe, but I'm certainly not looking forward to any sort of promotion dream now. So that's just where I'm sat, and it's just more disappointment than any real overriding emotion like it was midweek when I thought maybe we've still got something there. So I think that's where I am at the moment.
Yeah, it is tough as a football fan when it feels like you've got nothing to play for, because you're kind of having to artificially motivate yourself, aren't you? So that is a tough one, but you know, we'll try our best. And Ollie, you're back from the Matrix. Here you are. We've finally got you. I'm going to ask you 2 things, or just kind of link 2 things then. This game today, so FM Works has put on a stat earlier on, 18 games in a row without scoring more than 2. And we find ourselves, I think we're 4th or 5th in the overall championship charts now for goals scored. That's quite a remarkable stat, actually, that we've not scored more than 18 games in a row. And then Dan clarified for us earlier that 13 out of the last 15 games, we've not scored in the first half. Now, if we consider how Mowbray's got this side set up and how he wants to play and things like that, those 2 statistics are quite damning, aren't they? And they are going to hamper any progress that we want to make as a side, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, sorry. I don't know. I was not having internet issues. I don't know why I wasn't able to join. It just wasn't happening. But I'm on my phone. Yeah. They're odd, though. I think I said in the last live stream that a lot of the statistics about, you know, Adam Armstrong and Blackburn top scorers, we're never used to having such a high goal difference, but they're very much kind of the early part of the season, and this inability to score in the first half, it wouldn't, if you kind of go back across those 15 games and then started looking at the lineups from every single match, and then the sort of volume of changes that are made in the second half to sort of completely reshuffle a formation and try to do something else. It's just a bit similar today, just a bit disjointed and lacking a bit of consistency in how we're approaching games. And I know, you know, it's a young squad, and today it was a very young side. And I don't know, for me, I think to get the best out of a young side, I think they probably need kind of structure and consistency to help build confidence. And I think chopping and changing and kind of completely changing systems week to week, or in the second half, you're making 3 or 4 changes, and you're not kind of replacing like with like, and, you know, I'll sort of switching a midfielder for a midfielder. We're sort of seeing really sort of almost completely comprehensive changes for how we're approaching the game in the second half. And sometimes that yields a goal, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, something's gone badly wrong. And yeah, I think from today's game, I think if you took this game alone in isolation, it wouldn't feel too bad. I think in the context of what's been happening in February and the general downturn in performances, it's just it's kind of just adding to kind of the problems that we're all aware of. But it's in isolation. I don't think we were that bad today. We weren't great. You know, a deflected goal like the loss at Ewood, missed the penalty. Their keeper's come a mile off his line to save it, but Armstrong you should always score a penalty. Didn't do a massive amount to warrant much out of the game, but I'm not sure we deserve to lose it either. In isolation, I don't actually feel too bad about the game by itself. In the context of the season as a whole, I feel pretty grim about it all. But yeah, I don't know. I sort of sound like a broken record. I think with the kind of scoring, I would just start, you know, Travis, Davenport, Rothwell, Brereton, Armstrong, and Elliott, and see what happens, because that's the structure that yielded lots of goals, and we haven't that structure of that three in midfield with Rothwell on that left forward side carrying the ball from midfield, and having that front three exactly as they are. I'd be interested to know, when was the last time we started a match just like that, in this kind of barren run of first half goals. And I'm not here to kind of have a dig out Gallagher or dig out individuals, because Gallagher, he played all right against Barnsley, he didn't play well today, but Gallagher playing well doesn't seem to turn into goals. So not saying he's playing badly, but winning headers, running a lot doesn't mean Adam Armstrong's going to get to 30 goals. There's something systematically that's just not quite right on the pitch, and then I think the team, we start with the wrong team. We nearly started with the right kind of system today, and we looked quite good initially, but then by the time you've got through to the first half and we've conceded a silly goal, and you very quickly look devoid of ideas, and then we spend a second half against a low block and we're forced out wide, and we don't cross balls in and score headers. That's not something we do. And we look very easy to defend against. And yeah, we're not doing enough to kind of affect the game. So yeah, something's got to change. I think Joe, I was on the watch along. I think Joe summed it up really well, that Mowbray won't be our manager next season. I feel pretty comfortable in that. When the change happens, I don't know who they should bring in. I'm not 100% sure. I think a bit like you, I'm probably not sold on Ainsworth or the Cowleys. That's more to do with the money it would take to kind of reorganize the squads to kind of suit how they want to approach football matches. I'd rather see someone come in and try and freshen up what Mowbray's been developing and is falling short of sort of taking us to that next level. I'd want someone to come in and try and take this squad up another notch, which is all we need really to kind of become. We're not a million miles away. We feel it right now, but there's a very talented group of players there that maybe just need a fresh set of ideas, and we're doing the right things, but just a bit of an injection of some fresh ideas, but not a kind of wholesale systematic approach. I'm not particularly sold on that, I don't think. That's probably where I'm at.
Thanks, Ollie. So I asked the Rovers fans to answer our call and join us on the show, and I'm pleased to say that one of you has, and we've got David Park, one of our super chatters from the watch along, who is with us, and here we go. Hey, there we go. Like the power of the internet.
How you doing?
Or I should say, Dan has added Dave in, and he's wearing the yellow shirt. I actually run in that one when I'm running about in my local village, Dave. So I do like that shirt. It stops me getting ran over by cars when I'm running in the winter. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, okay, really. Yeah, I think considering the run of form we're on, doing pretty well, I think. Enjoyed the watch along today. It was the first one I've done, and it was nice to shout at the TV with other people doing the same thing at the same time.
Luke and Joe were definitely doing more shouting. I'm trying there to be like the host and be like, I'm just trying to describe the action, and them two are like, whoa! So
let me chip in, lads. Let me chip in.
So Dave, thank you for giving up your time on Saturday and answering the call, and thank you for the super chat contribution earlier. Really, really kind of you. So yeah, what's your question and what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's dead easy at the moment for everybody to kind of say it feels like Mowbray's coming to the end, but I think it feels very much like it's fan pressure at the moment, maybe not boardroom pressure. And I think realistically, it doesn't seem like he's going to be moved on anytime soon. Maybe if we lose the next two, but I think moving on to Wednesday's game against Watford, which he will be in charge for, it was probably a question to you guys to think, how would you set up against Watford, given that these next two games are pretty big? If we lose both, he's probably going to go, isn't he? I think even the board would see that. But how do we actually get a result out of this particular Watford game before what looks like an easier game on paper against Coventry?
So I'll start, and then we'll do Alex, Luke, and then Ollie. The Watford game is going to be tough. I think our record against the sides in that top six is not great, is it? So I'd like us to not be tentative. I'd like Mowbray to look at this now and think, okay, I've got 4 defeats on the spin. You know, he's an intelligent guy, Tony Mowbray. He'll know that he's under pressure. He'll know that he did that side last week against Barnsley and didn't include the players that we all want. And it links into what Ollie was saying. I'd love him now. Just go for it. If your job's on the line, get those players on the pitch that Ollie said. Rothwell, Elliott, Dack, Armstrong, Brereton. Let's just get them on, try and find a formation. And certainly against Coventry, definitely against them. Let's not overthink it. Let's play our best players and let them worry about us. I don't want this trying to overthink it, trying to play a formation that's going to stifle Coventry. No, we're higher in the table. We've got some good players in our side. Let's go and attack them. So I think that's what I want, Dave. I don't want the overcomplication and the overthinking. And I just love to see the players in the right positions. That's it in its simplest form. So Alex, you first, mate, in terms of Dave's question there.
I think it's a really good question. I think you can also extend that out to the next 6 games. I think you look at the next 6 games and you say, well, God, it's Watford, Coventry at home, and then you've got Millwall and who is it away, and then you've got Brentford, and I've blanked on the other 2, but I remember looking Brentford and Swansea at home, and Millwall and the other team away, Reading away. Yeah, so you look at those 6 games and you think, well, if he doesn't get a grip of the situation now, then I think you'll find that it runs away from him very quickly, because it'll get to the stage where you're talking about 6, 7, 8 games, and then you've got an untenable position there, really. What I think I would say is that the first emphasis, as Ryan alluded to, needs to be on how do we best exploit the weaknesses of the opposition, rather than the first thought being, how do we stop the opposition hurting us? I think at the beginning of the season, we were very much employing the philosophy of how do we hurt the opposition? And I think that's kind of flipped recently, or at least it looks that way from the way the managers set the team up and the way the managers picked his side. So I want to see, I think if you watch our stuff, you probably know that I'm not a Mowbray backer. But if as a Rovers fan who wants to see Rovers win games, what I want to see from Rovers going forward is a bit more of that attitude of the first 10 minutes today. Just a bit more lively, just a bit more up and at them, rather than passive. And I think if I see that on Wednesday night, we've got a much better chance of winning the game. I think scoring 2 goals in the first half in 15 games, I mean, that tells you that the team isn't setting the stall out from the first whistle. I mean, you can't look at that stat, 2 goals in the first half in 15 matches. That's a third of a season, isn't it? So that's a massive sample of games, and they're not doing it. So we need to see the club and the team set the stall out from the first whistle and play the best team. Stick to the 4-3-3. Stick with something long term. And Mowbray's got to hope that results turn around, because, as you say, if they don't, I think he'll be on very, very thin ice. And I think you're right when you say I would probably be happy with him being replaced tonight, but Do I think that the club will replace him? Absolutely not. I think Venky's have shown in the past that they're willing to use managers as human shields for as long as they want until it's convenient to bin them off. And I'm worried that the club will do that again and let it get toxic. I really want to avoid that with Marbury because I think he's bigger than that. I think he's better than that. I think he's a better manager than that to stop it getting toxic. I just really hope that if a decision has to be made, that it's made before that point.
Luke, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, and Dave, yeah, welcome to the chat. I'm glad you could have come in, and thanks again for the contribution. It's great to have you on. For me, I think you look back to the Watford game when we played them at Vicarage Road. We were fantastic. It were a really, really good performance from Rovers. I thought we were really unfortunate to be on the losing side, and that was when Watford weren't playing too bad, and the manager were getting results. Obviously, since then he's left, and they're under new leadership there. But for me, I think exactly as the other two have alluded to, where we've come unstuck, in my opinion, recently is trying to overcomplicate things. When we've played the 4-3-3 and we've played it consistently, we've played well with that front three of Elliott, Armstrong, and Brereton. We've looked good. I thought myself today, Elliott looked a little bit non-existent in that role in the centre. Really, thought he's looked a lot more effective from out wide and cutting in on his left foot. So I'd like to see him back out on the right, especially now with Gallagher out, and all the best to Gallagher, because like Alex alluded to earlier, with his medical background, that was a good insight, and it's tough to hear that about any player. So hopefully he's on the mend soon, but that's an opportunity for Elliott to get back out wide and maybe see Joe Rothwell back in the team, because I think he's been unfortunate to find himself out of this starting lineup now. Nyambe is not going to be anywhere near the starting lineup for a little while, looking at that injury today. Is Rankin Costello, is it too soon for Rankin Costello, having got through 45 minutes yesterday? I think probably is, but it might be like we might be harping back to earlier on in the season, and it might be one of them where we're having to throw players back in early, and maybe Rankin Costello's going to have to come back in, because yes, Bennett can fit in there, of course he can, but we're really lacking the attacking outlets at fullback, and that's where we look dangerous. We got the penalty obviously today from Nyambe getting in an advanced position and winning that penalty. Joe Rankin Costello can do that. I absolutely think that we need to use that outlet against Watford and just attack them, play our own game, and get through the 90 minutes and hopefully get a few goals and turn fortunes around. It's going to be difficult on our pitch, granted, but Watford are a similar side to us. They like to attack, fast players like Ismail Sarr, players like that are going to want to run and going to want to use the flow of the pitch, the run of the pitch, let's say. So it's going to be difficult for both sides. We absolutely need to just play our own game, I think. Don't blame the pitch, don't blame the opponent, don't overthink it, and hopefully get something out of it. Because I mean, when Marbury when Marbury's tried to play the way he wants to play, the 4-3-3, we've had success. I think he's come unstuck with overcomplicating things, formations, all sorts of things behind the scene, trying to shoehorn players in. Bradley Dack's a prime example, I guess. It's been difficult for Bradley. He's come back obviously from a long-term injury, and he's a big player for us, no doubt about that. But we're trying to shoehorn him into a formation, and maybe that's not the right thing to do just now. Maybe we need to just concentrate on winning games and get Bradley Dack back into the side when it's necessary for him to come into the side, I guess.
Before we come on to Ollie, just as you were talking, Luke, I was looking at Mowbray's post-match interview, and I'm going to run some stuff across the bottom on the ticker, which is the stuff that's been concerning me the last 3 or 4 games, and it's the blaming the other stuff that you were talking about. I just want him to focus on our side and give me confidence that he's going to do something to solve this crisis. So Ollie, I'll scroll it as you're talking, and then we can maybe talk about it a bit later.
Yeah, I can keep it very quick. I've sort of said it already that I obviously wish Gallagher really well. Actually, in trying to sort out my internet, I hadn't realised what the state of play was with his injury. But in a slightly odd way, it simplifies things, which I think helps. The reason Brereton started however many games before he got injured is because Gallagher was injured, and then Brereton did very well. I think we saw it last season. When they're both fit, he's always trying to kind of give them both minutes, and I think it's much simpler when the choice is made for him. And Brereton is, in my opinion, by far the better choice of the two. We're not going to be able to play Johnson, Holtby, Rothwell, but I think Travis, Davenport, Rothwell works perfectly well for me. I think go back to early in the season, Alex, Tom, who's obviously on the channel, we've sat in the podcast for a number of weeks, wax lyrical about Rothwell and Armstrong and Brereton, basically saying when any of those three aren't playing, we don't look like the same attacking force. And I would stand by those comments still today. So I don't know why they would, if the three of them are fit, you always play them, and then you probably add Harvey Elliott into that mix as well. That's not to kind of overlook how big a player Bradley Dack is, but at the moment, if he wants to drop into our half and desperate to receive the ball and slow the game down, we're not going to see the best out of Bradley Dack doing that, and we're not going to win. We're not going to beat opposition by him trying to get the ball in our half and play it into midfielders higher up the pitch. I mean, admittedly, the penalty situation came about because of a move he started, but no, I think play out from the back. You get the ball through to Travis and Davenport, and you feed Rothwell, and you get him to run at defences, and he will terrify any team in this division. He gets them on the back foot. He can beat 2, 3, 4 players. Brereton, his work off the ball, his hold-up play, winning free kicks, creating spaces for Armstrong, and Elliott's, a very clever footballer, and Armstrong is just there to score the goals. It made us the top scorers in the division very early on. And I have no idea why, when they're all fit, that we just don't do that. It's a very simple equation. They create the best version of our system, so you use those players. If it's then not working or someone's injured, you make substitutions. But that's how I would approach Watford. I don't think we're going to get relegated. I don't want that to come back and haunt me. But I agree with Alex. I think, we'll get enough points before the end of the season for that not to be a genuine concern. So in some respects, there's nothing to lose. We're not going to get in the playoffs. So just go back to what was really effective. I think defensively, hopefully Lenihan's back. I'd have started Douglas today over Bell. I'd put Douglas in. And then, as Luke was saying, if Nyambe, if it is actually a hamstring, I'm not quite sure if there's been any confirmation, but if it's Benno, it's Benno. It's not a disaster. But what did Rankin Costello got through 45 minutes? If he's ready to start, then give him a start. But it's not a disaster if it's Bennett. I would just go back to what worked and take it from there. Take the game to Watford. They're going to take the game to us. They're not going to come to Ewood Park and sit with 10 behind the ball in a low block. So that's what we struggle with the most. They're not going to do that. So you might as well, if they attack us, attack them back with our best players running at them and causing problems.
Thanks, Ollie. So, Dave, I'm going to ask, whilst I've got you, I'm going to ask you two things. So what's your thoughts on Wednesday and what you would do? And then I'm going to ask you about this stuff that I've been scrolling across the bottom and what Sean Fox also did as well. So, what would you do on Wednesday?
It's really odd because I was planning my response. I thought you might ask me that, and then I was a bit distracted by the comments coming across the bottom of the screen. But I think for Wednesday first, I think I agree. That's how Watford do set up as well, looking at what they've been doing. But I think 4-3-3. I think given Nyambe's not likely to play, if I recall the Birmingham game, which I think was the start of Douglas's good spell, he actually played at right back that day. So for me, I'd possibly go Douglas at right back, given 𝐿𝐻𝐾𝐿𝐻's probably not likely to be fit. And I think the three in midfield's got to be Travis Davenport, Rothwell driving, and Elliott cutting in from the right. Armstrong, Brereton as the other two, with Dolan as the impact player. So I think I do think Mowbray worries too much about the opposition. And I think if you're playing Norwich or you're playing a Brentford, I get it, against a QPR, a Preston, a Barnsley and a Forest, with the greatest of respect. I think we just have to play our own game. And I think same with Watford, really. I know they beat Bristol City 6-0 last week, but they're not steamrolling teams. That was the only, a bit of a fluke result for me. So yeah, we've got to go 4-3-3. We've got to go what we're best at. And I think even though we lost today, I felt we played better in patches. We could have had a couple of goals. I know we gave them a couple of pretty clean chances, Murray and Nyambe off the line, but I'm going to put that down to an inexperience back too. I think we've got to go into Watford with 4-3-3, haven't we, and get Rothwell driving at their back four.
Absolutely. I think we're all in agreement on that one. And I'm probably going to give you the first say on this before we let you go. So I've been scrolling this stuff across the bottom. This is the stuff that's been winding me up over the last couple of weeks. So we're a team that's lost 4 on the bounce. I don't care about Brentford. I don't care about Liverpool. And then the comment that Sean put in, like he's trying to prove to the fans that, you took Nyambe out of the side. Now I'm proving you right about why I took him out of the side. This type of defensive stuff from Mowbray, why he's started doing this, hasn't he, over the last couple of weeks? It's like he's trying to justify his existence at the moment. Do you just want to see different from Mowbray? Do you want to see him just give us some confidence as a fan that, yeah, we've lost 4 in a row. I'm the man that's going to turn that around, rather than worry about what Brentford and Liverpool have done.
Yeah, it's strange, really. And for me, it started with the Preston match. I was watching it on Sky before the game kicked off, and he was talking about how we don't play formations, and alarm bells were ringing a bit, because it was, watching your sort of chat from the QPR game, it was pretty clear. Were we playing a box? Were we not? What were we doing? And then after the game, when I think we just got out tacticked by Preston, to be really honest. I think when he was starting to talk about, I'm not miserable, I'm just cold. And then I think when you then spun into the midweek match against Barnsley, I felt the whole night, the way he answered the Nyambe question, it wasn't just all the other players. Like Elliott was given a rest for 2 games and he answered that one fair, but Nyambe's just very much one-liners, no. And it's just this deflection tactics. And then today, why is he bringing Liverpool into it? And Brentford should have gone up last year. They were one of the best teams in the league. Brentford are fantastic. They're really good. Why are we even worried? Brentford aren't a team for me who we should be concerned about. We should be chasing Bournemouth and Watford and Reading and Cardiff and all these other teams. And Liverpool, I don't get it. And it just seems something's changed with Mowbray since probably the QPR game, which I really thought we were a bit unlucky in that one. It was the game could have gone either way. The goal was a bit fluky. It just bounced in the box. And I felt, we were a bit unlucky that day. And I just think since then, I don't know what it is. He's just a different person. And I thought with all the Brockhall stuff yesterday, maybe something's going on behind the scenes. But the club statement seemed to suggest that might be positive. So I don't know. He's just cracking under pressure, and it's tough, isn't it? I think Norwich at home was the last time I remember us playing well. At the start against Brentford, I know we were on 10 men. I thought the fight we showed that day was a turning point in our season. I hope that would be the springboard to the playoffs. But it's just worrying that he's going down this different. I don't know whether he's been watching Mourinho and it's all this deflection tactics, but it's just not working for me. I think if we play poorly and deserve to lose, I think he'd just come out and say it. But I don't know what he's on about today. It's just bonkers. And then the other comment you put about Nyambe before, does feel like he's trying to prove to the fans, look, I told you so. And I feel like it's the start of a worrying trend for me.
Yeah, it is. It smacks of a manager under pressure who's feeling the pressure, and I don't want him saying that. As I say, I've said it on these streams. I want him coming out fighting. I want him saying, yeah, we've lost four games in a row. I'm going to be on the training ground on Monday, and I'm going to be doing this with the players. That's what I want. Don't want him talking about Brentford and Liverpool. Don't give a crap about them sides. So, yeah, I just wanted to give you the first say on that, Dave. We will let you go now so that you can enjoy the rest of your evening. I've been admiring those Polaroids behind you for the whole time that you've been with us. It's an impressive collection there, Dave. But yeah, thank you for joining us on the watch along and for the super chat earlier as well. Really appreciate your support, mate.
No worries. Thank you. Great show. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, Dave. Thank you, mate. So by the power, there we go. It even happened when I did my arms there. How brilliant. So, Alex, I'm going to give you the next say on this. I've been deliberately scrolling this stuff. So the Brentford stuff, the Liverpool stuff, and this kind of defensive, I told you so about Ryan Nyambe. This is signalling a man who's feeling the pressure now, isn't it? These types of comments.
It's a manager in survival mode. I think that's quite obvious. I think when you feel the pressure as a manager, and it undoubtedly is a pressure business, I'm not going to turn around and say it's an easy job at all. It's a brutal job. And managers have a shelf life. And I think what you've seen over the last few weeks is the manager maybe coming to the realisation that that shelf life may be about to expire at this club. And when that happens, often managers will start resorting to blaming other things, deflections, kind of confusing matters, trying to muddy the waters a little bit. And I've always thought with Marbury in particular, in comparison to our previous managers, he was always very, very down the line, post-match, pre-match. He'd speak from the heart. He would tell you exactly what he thought, good or bad. And I think what you've seen recently is just very confusing and very disappointing, if I'm being honest with you. Because I always hold Marbury to a much higher standard than previous managers, and I think he's earned that from what he's done. And I really, really don't want him to wreck everything that he's built. But I feel like if you leave him in situ, I feel like you're letting him... He's gone along and planted all of the crops in the field, and you're almost letting him turn back around with the tractor and just destroy everything that he's grown. And I really don't want him to do that. I really don't want it to get toxic. And as I said at the start of the live stream, we're all Rovers fans. We all want this club to do well. We all want this club to win games. And I just think that I'm very, very fearful of the toxicity of past managers is on the verge of returning. I feel like it's held at bay at the minute due to the fans not being in the stadium and the fact that it's all online. I think it kind of provides a bit of a barrier between the team and the fans. But I think you can just feel it bubbling under the surface at the minute. And it's a very, very worrying trait. And what I would say, you know my feelings on Marbury now. I've made that clear for the record. It's online. Everyone can go and see it. I'm in favour of Marbury leaving the club now, and that's a difficult thing for me to say, but I think it's the only way you actually help him protect his own legacy, because I think he has built a lot of good things at this club, but I think if he carries on the line that he's pursuing, I think he'll probably end up reversing most of that good work, and I really don't want that to happen. So yeah, it's a really worrying time, and I think the post-match comments only add to the worry for me. Just the fact that he thought we played well today and that today was a good performance. Well, in comparison to Wednesday night, maybe, if you're using that as a barometer. But if you're using the first 15, 20 games of this season as a barometer, then it's nowhere near what we've seen. And it's nowhere near what we've kind of led to believe is the standard for this team going forward. So, yeah, it's very, very worrying. And I'm just very, very disappointed in Marbury. I said this on Wednesday night. I'm very disappointed he's resorted to this. And I think probably Luke and Ollie will agree that we've always viewed Marbury as better than what we've already had. We've always saluted him for his integrity. And I think it's taken a bit of a dent. And I'm very, very disappointed about that. It does make me upset, to be honest. It does make me really upset. I don't think I can say any more than that.
I'm just going to go into the comments. So Dan, looking at the so we've got RJ's comment from 6:19 p.m. and then Hauser from 6:18. So just RJ on your comment, Nyambe. So in terms of the principle, absolutely, he's right, because Mowbray, you can hear my kids crying in the background. That's how bad today has been. So he's absolutely right in terms of Nyambe as a football player, and the fact that he's got these hamstring injuries and the fact he might not be coping with training and things like that. I think my annoyance with the comment that he's made, that Sean has posted there, he was slagging off Mowbray in the press in the middle of the week by saying the right back hasn't been playing well these last 2 games. So it's not consistent with the messaging that he's been giving about Nyambe. Had he come out in midweek and said, Nyambe's feeling his hamstring, he's not quite reaching the levels we need him to in training, we need to protect him so that he doesn't do an injury, then absolutely I can get on board with the fact that he's not in the side and he's in and out of the side. But taking him out the side in the way that he did on Wednesday, and really putting him under a bus a little bit with the comments and the way that he did it, that's the bit that doesn't stack up. And then it's the bit that goes bolted on with that he's then using it as a reason with the fans to say, I told you that Nyambe would get injured. No, we want a better relationship with Mowbray in that way. So that's the bit that's just worrying me a little bit. And then Luke, I'm going to come to you just on Hauser's comment. So Hauser here, Brentford have earned the opportunity to lose 3 in a row and still be in the mix. We haven't. If your manager's talking about other clubs and talking about Liverpool and trying to use other kind of tactics like that, are you expecting better from Mowbray in this type of scenario? You don't want him saying that Brentford have done this and done that. And Hauser's right. They've been playing well all season, and teams will have a dip. The football teams have a dip at some point in the season. And when you are a side like Brentford that's been largely consistent all season, they will have their natural dip. All teams have a dip, so this is possibly theirs. So I don't want him comparing us to Brentford, and they've absolutely earned the right, haven't they?
Yeah, what I would say first before I do go on to that, I've seen a comment that Tony Mowbray has no legacy, that he relegated us from the Championship and promoted us second with an average League One team. I think that's really, really harsh. I think if you look and just look at what Mowbray did post-𝐂𝐲, we were relegated. We were already down with 𝐂𝐲. What Mowbray did to come in and average a win percentage of, I think it was like 1.37, 1.44 maybe. Points per match of 1.37, 1.44 is pretty impressive. And to be honest, he almost did the unthinkable, and we beat Brentford on the final day. And should results have gone our way, he would have actually kept us up, which, to be honest, would have been a miracle. So I think that's really harsh and really disrespectful to Tony Mowbray. And what Alex said was correct. He has done a lot of good for this club, and you look at the academy and everything. And coming up for 4 years now on Monday when Mowbray took the job, I think we find ourselves in a very, very much a better position than we were 4 years ago. So as a Rovers fan, I think it's very important that we actually put that into perspective and realise that this club was on a really, really bad downward spiral, and Tony Mowbray steadied that ship. So it's important to say that. And that comment, about Brentford, that's the bit now that's worrying me, because it's a man that's gone from concentrating on number one, which in my opinion is Blackburn Rovers. He's concentrating on us and concentrating on what we're doing. He's now obviously completely off the boil, and some might say lost the plot, deflection tactics, and maybe looking at other teams. And yeah, I mean, he's right in saying that, injuries hamper and there are excuses to be had, etc. But that's gone for us. That were earlier on in the season. We had that, and we rode that storm, and we had a couple of really, really poor months earlier on. And I think now we've actually got a strong side. He's almost struggling to pick an 11. I think as fans, we know where our 11 is, and we know what we want. And yeah, of course, we want to shoehorn Bradley Dack into that, and of course, we want Travis in the starting 11, and Harvey Elliott and Joe Rothwell. And how do you fit all them players in? And Tony Mowbray's the one that sees these players week in, week out, and wants to, he's on a very good level relationship with all the players. And, of course, he doesn't want to drop players, and he wants to, get every player in the team. If we could put all them attacking players in one side and it could work, we'd love to do that. I think that's half the problem now, that we've got all this array of talent, and it's almost as if he doesn't know what to do with that. And I think that's now where the deflection tactics are coming in a little bit, because there aren't really any other excuses other than, well, look at other teams. Brentford have lost, Swansea have lost, Liverpool are losing games, and for me, that's not important. That doesn't matter. The fact is, Blackburn Rovers are also losing games, and if Blackburn Rovers were winning games, then maybe that does matter then, because we're capitalising on other teams losing. So the important thing is that Blackburn Rovers win games, not that other teams are losing games, and that makes it okay that Blackburn Rovers are losing games. It's no excuse really, and for me, I don't want to see that kind of justification of us losing games on other teams losing games, because that's really not what it's about. It's about us hitting a run of form and letting other teams worry about us. That's the be all and end all of it for me. It's very, very strange comments. It's football. Teams lose games, but I don't want that to be Blackburn Rovers, and I don't want us to be compared to teams that, quite frankly, don't matter to us.
Absolutely. And Ollie, I'm going to give you the final say on tonight's stream. I had every intention of breaking the game down into more detail today and talking about how the game went. And naturally, we've gone on to the talk about the manager. And unfortunately, it's probably going to be a bit like Groundhog Day now. Now he is our manager, or whilst he is our manager, and until the day comes that he's not with us. So these post-match streams, the feelings that we're having in the games, even when we win, it's probably going to feel like, well, he's not the man to take us up, so what's the point? So, hopefully we're all mentally prepared for that type of feeling for the rest of the season, unless something remarkable happens. And just to bolt onto that, I'll bring in Gareth's comment here. Haven't seen any realistic names mentioned for TM's replacement. Better sitting tight with him until we get to the end of the season, providing we can afford to do that. So, where does this leave you feeling as a fan, Ollie? Because it is probably, we are looking over our shoulder slightly now because of our next fixtures, but it is probably feeling like mid-table mediocrity for the rest of the season now. So, how does it sit with you that we are a side that is underachieving? We are a team that's probably got a manager that all the fan base, in fact, the majority of the fan base probably don't want. What is the solution? What do we do? Do we just sit tight and wait and see what happens? Do we all have to spend our £10 on iFollow and just hope that everything's going to be all right? How's it making you feel as a fan? It's a bizarre situation, isn't it?
Yeah. Slightly depressing, I guess. I'm not sure what will happen. I think as Dave, who was very good when he came on, said, I think he's definitely going to be the manager for the next couple of games. I think if you lose 5, you lose 6. I think he might walk before being. I think 4 is, we've been played very poorly for a couple of months, and now we're not even getting any results. Losing 4, fine. It's not very good. Lose 5, lose 6. Keep playing worse and worse, it gets untenable. And I think Alex is spot on with, I think if we were at the games, I think this would have accelerated a bit more. I think, it's an odd situation at the moment. We've seen a few Championship managers lose their job recently. It'd be interesting to see, what good it does for those sides. They're sides that theoretically had similar ambitions to us. I'm not. That's what I still have that slight worry that I'm not sure who comes in. I'm not quite sure. That's probably one thing. That's the answer I don't have. I probably agree that he needs to go. Probably those post-match comments. I think, as Alex said, I've supported this team for a very long time, but there's not a lot of managers that we've had where you've sort of felt quite proud to have them as a manager, and certainly up until probably December this season, I was always quite happy to kind of say that we had Tony Mowbray at our football club, and we've sort of always felt like we were generally going in the right direction. He's done a lot of good off the pitch, and steered us away from some very dark days and dark seasons that I haven't particularly enjoyed. And so he does have credit in the bank to that point, but he's always come across as a nice, honest man. He speaks very highly of the club, the owners, speaks so highly of the players, and always seems to have had the right intentions. And to see him reduced to the type of things that are coming out now it's sad, really. It's one of those situations where you don't want to see it anymore, because I'd say he's largely brought the problems on himself by overcomplicating things, making too many changes, changing things too much from one week to the next. And the buck stops with him. He's created the problems that he's then deflecting away from. So, and they're just really poor comparisons. You could make an argument where we're trying to emulate the style of football that Klopp plays at Liverpool and Thomas Frank plays at Brentford. They are teams that we're looking to emulate. If he wants to draw comparisons, then he should stop changing the sides every week and making forced substitutions, because Thomas Frank loses Ollie Watkins and Ben Rama, and they don't panic. They bring in Ivan Toney, and it's the same. They've lost 3 games, but they'll plug away with what they do, and they will start winning games again because they're a fantastic team and they stick with what they're good at. What Tony Mowbray does is Ben Brereton gets injured, and it's just been a catalogue of changes and 5 substitutions every match, and never getting it quite right. And then because it didn't work that week, I'll completely change it next week, and then I'll change it again next week. And it's Brentford lose 3 on the spin, the team will be exactly the same and the exact same system next match, and they'll start winning again. And so it's a stupid comparison to make, because I wish he kept it as simple as Thomas Frank does. And I can't speak for Brentford fans, but I doubt they're sat there panicking because they've lost 3 games. Whereas we've lost 4 games and things are not very good. I go to a lot of our games when we can, and I've sat in some very toxic environments, and it's not nice. And he's a nice man, and he's going to go sooner, relatively soon, I think. And I'd rather, it's going to happen. And I don't want it to sour too much. And I think he's probably at the moment could count himself lucky that the fans aren't there, because I think there would be elements of it would be getting toxic. Well, it definitely would have been getting toxic. We can't kid ourselves. We're all fans that go to games. It wouldn't be very nice. We're not talking Paul Ince, Steve Keane, Owen Coyle type of toxicity, but it wouldn't be very good. So I'm not sure we can end on a high note. We need Glenn. But no, it's not very good. I appreciate everyone that's watching. We're just as frustrated and upset and disappointed, I think. And it's, we're a fan base that's hurting because we've got the best squad we've ever had since relegation to get out of this division, and we've really made a mess of it since Christmas. I think January was okay, but I don't know. We are making a mess of it, and we've got I think other managers would look at our team. We've heard managers talk so highly. You know, what managers would kill for Joe Rothwell, Bradley Dack, Harvey Elliott, Adam Armstrong, Darrell Lenihan, Barry Douglas? You know, they would kill for some of our players, and it's and it's not good enough. It's not. So
no, I think it's quite clear from this point forward that it's a very complicated and not very simple solution now. And all of this is underpinned by still the deep-rooted hurt that Rovers fans do have from being relegated from the Premier League and what's happened under Venky's, and that real kind of desire to get back there. You know, that always bubbles to the surface, and it felt like we were finally going to do it this season and make a go of it. And that's not happened. But I do think that Byram, Dan, if you go to the comment from Byram at 6:31, has made a really important point here. And this is what we'll always do on Rovers Chat. At the end of the day, he is still our manager, and we should support the team no matter what. And yes, you know, that's what we will do. We will keep doing that. We are not going to turn this into a toxic situation. We're not going to be on here saying Mowbray out, Mowbray out, Mowbray out. Doesn't make it any easier when you lose 4 games in a row. Doesn't make it any easier when he's tinkering with a side and you're thinking, why aren't you playing Brereton on the left of the front three, etc., etc. And it doesn't make it any easier when he's doing comments like that in the press. But I just think that the answer at the moment isn't a simple one as just sacking the manager, because I think there's all these different variables at play in the club at the moment. So as we've said before, you know, I just urge us all to just keep it civil. I urge us all to just keep doing it as we've done. Provide your comments, as you always do, Rovers fans, on our shows. Provide your comments, air your views. Let's do it in a balanced way. And hopefully somehow we can just rescue some form of season. I don't want this season to peter out and us to end up in 18th or 19th place. I don't want that to happen. I'd love us to feel like, you know, we've come 10th, we've come 9th or whatever, and it feels like we're truly going to bridge next season, and accepting the fact that, yes, this season was a bit of an underachievement. So, yeah, unfortunately, I make no apologies, Rovers fans. These streams are probably going to be difficult from this point forward because we're in a bit of a nothing part of the season now. We're not going to make the playoffs, and we most certainly now need to look over our shoulder just to make sure we don't get involved in something. So it is going to be hard. The games are going to be hard, and I just really hope we do turn it around. But as I've said all along, we appreciate your support. We appreciate you all coming on and giving your views, because the answer is not easy. It really isn't easy. And I'd love a comment just to be in there right now that says, this is who should be our manager, and everyone to go, yeah, actually, yeah, he's the manager. But the answer's not that simple. So, you know, we just need to somehow, and we're going to have to dig deep, because it's tough times at the moment during a pandemic, tough times during a lockdown, and tough times where we're gearing all of our time up to watching these games on iFollow because we can't do much else in the week. It's really tough to stay positive, but we've just got to try to. And certainly no one on this show is going to disagree with you when you say that Mowbray, unfortunately, is not going to be the manager. You know, let's just be clear. We agree with you on that point. We're just saying from this point forward, there's just a way that it needs to be done now. And there's a way that we need to conduct ourselves. And there's a way that things just need to happen from this point, which does require us as fans just to keep our cool a little bit and just to, you know, just kind of get behind the lads with some blind faith as best we can. Hunter's Army, Gary Rowett is manager of Millwall, so that will require some compensation. I just saw that one in the comments there. So there we go. An hour and 14. That was another long post-match stream where we've not done much of the match analysis. So sorry, lads, that we've not done that. I had every intention of doing it. But as I say, it's probably just going to be one of those self-fulfilling prophecies now for the next few weeks as we just talk about where are Rovers, what do we do next, etc., etc. But we'll keep doing it with a smile. We'll keep doing it in the best way as we can. We'll keep virtually interacting with you all, and really great that we had David on the show with us earlier. So do join us on the show. David's shown the way. FM Works has shown the way before. Come and join us on the show. But I'll just quickly whip round the panel before we finish. Alex, you know, thank you for joining us tonight. It's not easy at the moment, and I know that, you know, you don't mind me saying you're probably a glass half empty type Rovers fan, which isn't easy for you at the moment either. But thank you for coming on and airing your views.
Thanks, Ryan. I think I would just follow on from Byron's comment earlier on that you just mentioned. I think it's really important to acknowledge that often criticism of the club isn't a lack of support. During the games, I'm as enthusiastic and as desperate for Rovers to win as anybody else. And I just don't want that to be mischaracterised in any way. I think the number of fans that are frothing at the mouth for us to lose games are in such a small minority that I don't even think it is worth mentioning. I think all of our relationship with Rovers is almost like a family member. You want them to succeed, you want them to do well, but if they do something that you think is stupid, certainly in my family, you say so. You stop them going in the wrong path, you stop them taking the wrong course. And I think that's the sort of relationship that fans have with their football club. I don't think you can just blindly follow, and I don't think anyone in this stream does. I think it's something you care about deeply, that I think we all do. You want to look out for it and you want to stop it making stupid mistakes. So I think that's where a lot of the criticism comes from. And yeah, I think you were bang on when you said that I think there's still scars that we all bear from the Premier League. I think a lot of the fans think that we had it stolen from us with the circumstances that it happened under. And I think the fact that we felt that it was stolen makes a lot of the fans have that sense of entitlement about getting back there. And it's very, very difficult. I think we're all desperate to do that. But yeah, I think once again, we tried to air our views in a sensible way, give the two sides of the story and give a balanced view on it. But yeah, thank you for having me on as always, Ryan. And we'll be back in again on Wednesday for another dose of this. How stupid are we?
We absolutely will. And Luke, I'm going to come to you. 𝐷𝐻𝐃𝐂𝐄𝐎 has picked up on the shift that you and I have made. We have been in the Marbury Inn camp for quite a while, but people have heard my views, all this stuff in the post-match, and just how Mowbray's been conducting himself these recent weeks are really concerning me now. And I'm fairly confident in my view that he's not the man to take us up, which is a real shame because I think he's a great bloke and I think he's a really honest guy. But thank you for coming on as well, Luke.
No, it's been a pleasure, really. I say that loosely because the game and the post match is it is a bit of a marathon when you get beat. But at the end of the day, I said it during the watch along as well. We're all Blackburn Rovers fans. We all want the same thing, and deep down, deep rooted, we all want to be back on games. So if we can get that close to doing that by having a bit of a watch along together, airing views and bouncing stuff off each other like we were on the concourse and in the stands, then that's one step closer to a little bit of normality. So I mean, that'd be great. And a nod back to Ollie's monologue towards the end there. That spot on there, absolutely. Alex as well. I think we've all done this very well today. It's difficult when you've got beat, and it's very easy to be reactionary. And there is that toxicity in part of the fan base that I don't want to creep in to anything we're trying to do. We try and keep it balanced. We try and let everyone have their say. And from my point of view, I know I am. I'm sure I am, and I'm Rovers till I die. And that's it.
Well said. I've just realised that in my post-match brain, I've actually just totally misinterpreted what 𝐷𝐻𝐃𝐂𝐄𝐎 meant when he said massive shift. I thought he meant shift in our position on Tony Mowbray. He actually meant you and I had done a big shift on both streams. So,
he did, and that's what I rolled with, Ryan. I completely ignored your question. So
no, it's fine. You answered the actual one, but no, thank you, 𝐷𝐻𝐃𝐂𝐿. We do it because we enjoy it, and as Dan has followed up with the comment as well, everyone who's been on the shows today have all played their part and continue to do so as well. Ollie, you've got the final word, mate. Thank you for joining us. I hope that I hope that you can salvage a Saturday evening.
Yeah, but I get as down as everyone else when we lose, and then a few hours later you remember it's only football. But no, I I'm old enough to have. Did see us win the Premier League, and I've seen the highest highs and all the lows that we've had over the last 10 years. And Alex is right. Whatever the spectrum of opinions you get across Rovers fans, I understand them all, and I always try and I'm more often than not glass half full, but I level and understand with everyone's point of view, and I think that's what this channel does so well. We just try and keep it balanced, and we're fans. I've spent a very long time trawling around the country watching this football team, and I'll still do it as soon as we can again, and love them to bits, and always will. So it's hard at the moment, but we've been in worse situations than this, so that's about as positive as I can get. It's been a lot worse than this. So and just thanks everyone. I know that there's been some donations since last night, and just to thank everyone again. If I wasn't on these streams, I am. I was in the watch along, in the comments. I listened as soon as the podcast started. I was listening to the podcast. I'm just like a normal fan, and it's just a pleasure to be involved, and would encourage others. Like Dave today, it was great when he came on. We're just fans, just like everyone else, and as soon as we can go to games, we're going to be at games again, and hopefully we can have a beer and moan and groan face to face, because that's what it's all about, I think.
It is.
Yeah, and go cry.
We did tout the idea of a Rovers.
Yeah, I saw.
So that will happen. That will happen.
I would definitely get the most abuse of anyone.
Well, I'm going to channel my inner Glenn here and leave us all with 3 positives. So, Dan, I'm coming to you for the first one. Let's bring up the overlay again of the super chatters today that have donated to our channel. We are so appreciative of all of you there. Forest City Trivia, Michael, RJ, Simon, Daniel, David, and FM. We really appreciate your support. It goes straight back into our channel, and we'll do it to deliver the content. I'm going to go into the comments for number 2 and 3 to make everyone feel positive. David, lol, at least we didn't miss 2 penalties in 1 minute, That's a positive that we can grab onto. Let's laugh at that one. And Barfly will leave you with the final positive comment. 95 DVD, everyone. Let's just go and watch that. That's a positive one, Luke's holding his badge up. That's one to go and watch. If you've not got your footy fix today, go and watch our DVD. So we'll leave it there. Thank you all for joining us all day. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening. We'll leave you with our sponsor message from 6yardsOut.com. Thank you all. See you later. The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsOut.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.